And I feel like VPxNeon, they're a strong team, but it's probably easier than some of the matches they've had so far. But we'll get underway with our pick and bans. So Team USAK using the Overdrive logo, our kind of org unaffiliated one, and then VPxNeon using the Versed Pro logo in the red. So we have pick of France coming out, first of all, for USAK. Brazil and USA for VP, Neon, and then Greece from USAK.
Yes, that's right. And China being the decider one, doesn't look like both teams are looking to get their bug slides on just yet. But I mean, if it comes down to it, we may as well find ourselves there. But for the time being, players just warming up on France. And we'll have to see, especially with France. I mean, it's been 3 sectors in total that I will say that have been quite troublesome. Basically, the first 20-25 seconds of all that full speeding, you really do notice how much of an impact that has on our players. Controlling that speed. Look at them all posing. We actually got the players into pose like that. There may be an Easter egg in there somewhere. Somehow it's like 1 in 1,000. It's like I don't know if it's shiny rates, but it definitely is in there. But enough yapping, I'd say for now. Let's yap about the actual players, the actual driving going on here on France, and already making our way through that first sector that I was mentioning with that full speeding coming in. Bit of a slower approach through the dirt, but VPxNeon able to pick up first and second place with Neil for now on the back foot. But this transition into the dirt and then hugging this outside, trying to straighten out the car as soon as possible, pick up a lot of speed is something that some players dare to go for. Some a bit more conservative in that, just making sure that they get their wheels around and not touch the wall in any way, shape, or form. And then obviously that third sector being the identity. Some players going for the right side approach, some deciding to go left and right. We do see a bit of exchange happening in that regard. Wizzy trying to catch up Paco, making his way towards the end. Does he make the draw happen? No, in fact, dealing with the clip, it's going to be a victory there for Team USAK. And I mean, that was a hard fight towards the end, turned into a bit of a 1v1 that Team USAK was able to win on both fronts.
Yeah, I mean, that was a very tight round. I think it almost evolved into a pair of 1v1s, of which USAK came out on top on both of them to secure a victory on round 1. I think decent pace shown by both teams here. So we'll have to see how they can get on. Heading into round 2, Neon leading the way, had an early mistake last time. Or I think the mistake was on the dirt jump about halfway through the track, actually. But has a decent lead for now. Wizzy at the back, the previous round winner, fighting from behind. How are people going to handle this dirt jump? Oh, there is a lot of mistakes coming out. There goes Neil, and there goes Paco falling behind. Paco going for a very extreme line there, and it largely pays off. Almost catches back up Neil, but ends up with a bit less exit speed. Neon still leading the way. Wizzy and Neil trying to hold on for a draw currently. I think that gap, 0.4 of a second, is just a little bit too much to make up. Unless Neon makes a mistake, which is what happens. Neon having to respawn, gifts an 8 to Team USAK, and VP and Neon are going to find themselves fighting from behind here. That is not how you want to start map 1 of the series.
No, it's unfortunate for Neon there to... not get that identity done. It is quite a tricky one. Neil right there deciding to go for the more of a left-right-left approach, and Neon also having to make his way towards that, but was unable to get the jumps going. I mean, it just goes to show how low these players are trying to jump to reduce as much airtime, but the risk that is involved with doing that is quite painful as we make our way to the full speed. That downhill, it's so important to keep those wheels on the ground. It's very tricky to, once that does happen, you basically fly off into the sunset, and with Neil having to respawn, that does leave Wizzy to his own devices, having to chase down Neon and Pusita Paco after a bit of a ace coming out of the sky. It is now Wizzy who has to make up this 1/10 of a second gap. And you know what? With the landing coming in from Neon onto the wall, that will be already quite some breathing room for Wizzy, for Team USAK. Neil with another respawn will mean that it's going to come down to Wizzy if he is able to get a draw out of this gap. It's going to be about 2 tenths of a second. Tobacco way more speed, true to the identity, and all of these jumps looking clean, except for that last one. Bit of a clip. Wizzy may have enough space to get by. No, he does catch up, but doesn't overtake. Is going to be VPxNeon picking up the victory, staving off Team USAK from that potential map point as Neil is not making these jumps happen. This ain't it. He's just going to take it easy. The gap is still quite large, 3 points, but yeah, bit of an awkward one from Team USAK.
Yeah, I think they did at least manage to rescue that round somewhat, perhaps through PT Tobacco's clip, because with Neil so far behind at the start, it looked like there was a risk of them getting counter-aced, but holding on so that VPxNeon only got a victory limits the damage heavily. Of course, aces are so powerful in this format. Neon and PT Tobacco going for another ace though so far this round. Neil trying to catch back up, but there's another clip from Neon. I think it's not exactly the hottest take to say Neon, a player with a lot of pace and perhaps not the same amount of consistency currently. Still a young player, still plenty of time to tidy that up. It's easier. That's a big clip from Neil. And suddenly Neon's mistake at not looking too bad anymore, as Neon's still 1.3 seconds down, but in second place. There to support PT Tobacco to pick up an ace, unless Wizzy pull off a bit of a miracle. I don't think 6 attempts is happening, but Neon clips again this identity not being kind to the young Polish player. Wizzy gonna cross the line second. PT Tobacco kind of checked out, kind of in a world of his own there. Yeah. But USAK get away with that. And they get a draw that most certainly should have been an ace on the side of VPxNeon. Yeah,
I mean, it's definitely on both sides, issues happening, and specifically, VPxNeon just having issues really closing things out. Had a opportune moment to get that ace in, and the half pipes just not really being as clean for Neon and Paco at the moment. Still, a bit of a tricky one. They had to already take a couple of rounds a bit more safe, a bit more easy. But again, halfway through, when we find ourselves seeing VPxNeon in the lead, and it's really a question of whether or not they're able to hold on to it. Neon with a bad landing onto that turn. Wizzy now with clip as well. Neil slowing down, and Neon just allowed to get back into P2. Wizzy Neil clips again on that inside. It's brutal to see him. Paco, he's just driving, right? He's just going like...
Well, you say Paco's just driving, but every other player is clipped, and Paco is not a second in the lead. So clearly has some of his own issues over the course of that. Not sure if there was gear drop on the dirt or another clip that we missed, and Paco's going to end up last. Suddenly, an ace looking to come out from Neil and Wizzy, and that's going to be a map win.
Actually, just... That 10-4, I mean, look, 10-4, get that attention in that way, copy received, but geez Louise, I don't know how that occurred in the way that it occurred, especially this being the first map pick at that matter as well. You're expecting a lot more consistency in it. It just came down to who was able to hold on to their steering wheel up until the end, really. We can see it in those replays coming true as well. Just, some errors happening. Neon with that inside line there on the dirt with a bit of a clip, losing speed to jump up to this outside dirt. Again, we see this chaos unfolding, and somehow players staying close together, and here that decider, to close things out. Everyone was relatively close to each other in that last round, but not for the right reasons.
Yeah, that was a very chaotic last round, and I think it's perhaps fortunate for USAK that so many mistakes were coming out from VPxNeon that it just haven't capitalized despite all of their own errors. I'm not sure if we'll see a repeat on Brazil. I feel like for whatever reason at the pro level we seem to see less mistakes on Brazil perhaps than you would on France. I think the identity on Brazil is a bit kinder. All that can really go wrong is just going absolutely flying if you get the entry onto the water incorrect. Which at least in warm-up none of the players seem to be struggling with. Okay.
Don't say it too soon.
It's not a caster curse if it's warm-up, but seeing two of them go absolutely flying was quite entertaining there. Well,
Yeah.
we'll get to see whether they go flying in the actual rounds. We are underway. Round 1 here on Brazil. Neil, Wizzy, Petite Paco, and Neon ready to fight this out, and Neil falling behind at the start gets a poor first line. It's going to be about 2 temps behind. We head through this looping, and that time loss is kind of snowballed. Neil going to be out of contention for this round, leaving it as a bit of a 2v1 at the front. Neon and Petite Paco versus Wizzy. Currently everyone keeping it clean and tidy. Wizzy trying to chase down Neon, but Neon looking to have a lot of pace here initially.
There was great speed exiting out of the water there, and just both players going into it. Neon a bit earlier, higher, doesn't really make too big of a difference. See how much risk is on the hole. Wizzy does try to catch up a bit, but I mean, I think he also needs to be concerned about Paco being right there, showing up. We'll see if the inside will happen here, inside line, and Paco actually crashing out. Neil able to slot into it, making this a draw with Neon dropping down an amazing time, a 103.798, getting so close to that scrappy world record, driving a PB at that as well. I mean, it was a draw, but that was a statement of a draw, honestly.
This might be the most stereotypically Neon performance I've ever seen. I think that was his first clean round of the entire match, and it was like half a tenth off world record. Or something insane.
Ridiculous.
I think VPxNeon unfortunate to not actually capitalize too heavily off at round, though, as Petite Paco decides to go and wave hi to the Artemis astronauts. After clipping a rock with reactor, it just sends your car to the moon. Wizzy leading the way this time, and Neon had an early mistake, was about 4 temps down by the time we got to the first checkpoint, but seems to have so much pace on this map that they've already caught up to Neil, and is within touching distance of Petite Paco and Wizzy here. So although Neon made a mistake, I think VPxNeon as a team still have a decent chance to pick up some points here, although Wizzy holding on valiantly for USAK, try and limit it to a draw. Just one corner to go. Oh, Wizzy gets a nice little boost of speed at the end. And, I mean, it's still a good winning time, but it's almost 4/10 off what we saw from Neon in that previous round.
This feels like a world of difference from what we saw on France and now here on Brazil. I mean, we already got to, the 104.1 feels like just, regular times, but the fact that we got a 0.7 on a track like this, I haven't seen this one come true yet myself live. I think the fastest I've seen in rounds thus far during Overdrive has been 0.9, I want to say, which also is blazing fast. It just goes to show how much pace more there is to gain, and seeing how France of pick was for USAK, despite them winning it, it wasn't the cleanest of wins. VPxNeon look very strong here, but Wizzy and Neil very much do have something to say about this. They'll deal every single time having some poor starts, find themselves in P4, and again, the pressure is on Wizzy to make some recovery happen as we're making our way through that final water section. Wizzy is setting up the chase this time around, isn't able to lead and able to get that draw in. I think this may be an ace as long as Neon and Paco get the line correctly, and they do. They get the fence beautifully in a 0.8 coming out from Neon. This is just a world of difference from what we saw in France. That when we saw France, it felt like maybe this was Div 2, but now we're clearly seeing what these players are capable of.
Indeed. I mean, I feel like Neil is struggling a little bit on this track, it has to be said, in terms of pace. It's just looking maybe a few temps off compared to everyone else who, are setting these blazing fast times. But Neon, obviously, the main talking point at the moment. When they can keep it clean and just hold it together, their pace is just insane.
Unstoppable.
I mean, a 0.7 and a 0.8 already on this track, and I mean, this is another excellent start. I can't claim to know the checkpoint splits well enough to be able to commentate on what he might be on, but given the gap to Petite Paco and Neil, this could well be another 103 time if they can keep it clean, but not really under any pressure from USAK. I think.
No, Neil full crashing as well. Neon just has to tap in. What's it gonna be?
That's not the Neon way, Mo. That's not the Neon way. A 0.7 is the Neon way.
7-8.
I said it looked good, but blimey, 2.7s in 4 rounds.
Whoa, getting that full value as well, right?
I can kind of ever so slightly see why they picked this track. This is VPxNeon's first map pick, and I can see why they picked this rather than France, where this just looks like a different team.
Yeah, very much that, very much in control. Even with that, that first draw coming out and still seeing Neon drive to 0.79, it's great to see that he's able to replicate that and just keep that momentum going. As currently 2-8, and Team USAK not really showing the same consistency. It's really mainly been Wizzy who has been able to keep up, but again, Neon just a landslide victory seemingly coming out. As it's not even Wizzy, Neil, Paco necessarily doing too poorly, right? They're driving great. It's just that Neon is driving phenomenally in respect to them, and making our way towards that final water section. Again, Paco has been able to let go of Wizzy, who is lurking behind, but you can see how tight Neon is taking each and every one of these turns, knows exactly how much space there is to gain. Wizzy has been able to overtake. This time around, it's not going to be a 1-0 free, it's going to be a 1-0-4-0, which is still ridiculous. And with Paco slotting into P3, that is plenty for VPxNeon to pick up the win from a 10-4 to a 3-10 scoreline. We go 1-1, and yeah, I mean, Neon coming alive.
Yeah, those were some absolutely ludicrous times from Neon. I think it's also good to give a little bit of recognition to Petit Paco as well. Maybe didn't set the headline times, but those last 3 rounds were 2 aces and a victory. You need your second player there and driving good pace. To be able to pull that off. So was in a very good supporting role. And at least if Neon had crashed, some of those blazing times would have been in a position to limit the damage to a draw as well. So I think just really, really strong performance from VPxNeon there. I don't think Wizzy and Neil really got a look in aside from maybe the first round.
No, it's in that sense a bit of riches to rags, I suppose, for them. And curious to see how they will be able to fend off VPxNeon on USA, with this being the second pick for VPxNeon. If the pace that we saw from them on Brazil is similar to what we will see here, I'll sign up for that at the moment. Nico from FUT picking up the world record, so a 102.2. So let's make sure we keep our eyes out for those low 102s, for that matter, as we will be off here on the US of A. As a bit of a home ground advantage, you could say, for Neil, but after Brazil, hopefully it's just more of a weaker map for them, and they'll be able to get back into it now. This first quarter pipe jump is very much a deterministic part of it all. Wizzy with a great jump, Neil trailing behind just a little bit, and a bit of a VPxNeon sandwich going on here at the moment.
Although I think with the way that USA works as a map, it's a little early to call anything yet. Of course, there's some really punishing sections, particularly coming up in about 5 seconds time. You've got this tight drift. You tend to see a few different lines on a Petit Paco, really far to the left, actually. And everyone doesn't make it through the ice flick unscathed. Wizzy getting it best, it seems, leading the way. Neon with a tiny clip on the inside.
Paco as well.
Paco as well, yeah. Mirroring a teammate. Neil with a less tiny clip. That's a proper big clip.
Yeah.
Is going to drop them down to 4th. So Wizzy going to hold on as the only survivor of the track. Admittedly, only wins by 2/10, but does hold on. Does get USAK a draw. Feel it could have been more there if Neil hadn't messed up the identity.
Yeah, finding himself going just a bit too wide, a bit too late with the drift, and going overboard does mean that Team USAK wasn't able to take full advantage of those errors happening on the side of Paco and Neon. As this round does start off with an error on Neon's side, trailing behind by about half a second, is able to make the quarter pipe jump which, especially in that sector, can be a bit of a detrimental thing, just not having quite enough speed to make your way through, having to go for the double respawn and pretty much being out of it. But this is very much still a spot from which he can take advantage of a mistake, if it does so happen from Neil or Wizzy. But Paco doing a phenomenal job, getting some defense in, a bit slower across the ice, and with the snap out of the dirt, Paco actually finds himself overtaken by Neil. But look at that, still very close to the actions, coming down to that identity once again. This time around, Neil doesn't go too wide. Paco with a bit more speed throughout the first one, picks it up on the second turn as well, going up to the third. Let's see any snipes happening here. Neil going a bit too wide, and Paco with the defense, driving 102.7. I mean, it makes sense right at that ending. You just try to push it as inside as possible. Hope you don't slide out on the plastic, because there's just so little wiggle room at that point, and it's so easy to end up in the rafters to the left.
Neon with another early mistake, though, looks to be a few attempts down before we've really even got started here on USA. Again, it's looking more like a France performance from Neon rather than Brazil, unfortunately, for the young Polish player. But now Neil leading the way, actually ahead of Petit Paco, Wizzy up there as well. Neon trying to close the gap. It has been quite tight so far. I feel like little mistakes from Neil through the identity have put USAK down a couple of points compared to where they could have been. But on this round, it is Wizzy falling surprisingly far behind, but all players gonna go through this checkpoint within 0.2 of a second. So it's gonna come down to the identity, but USAK fighting from behind. Neon and Petit Paco leading the way. Neon leading the way despite being 3 attempts down by the first checkpoint. Very impressive time there. You wonder how fast that could have been. But in general, actually the pace is just not particularly fast that round.
No. It seems that second half, Neon is able to recoup quite a lot. And I'm not sure if it's due to some, less efficient lines coming out from the rest of the players, or, maybe taking it a bit easier on that identity. I'm not quite sure what is going on there, but Neon doing a phenomenal job catching up despite being, half a second behind, picking up over 7/10 throughout that round to, bring the ace home for VPxNeon, and with that, Team USAK find themselves trailing behind. And not just that, with Wizzy clipping the wall as well, behind by 1.5 seconds. That's another opportunity for VPxNeon to do some more damage, bring Team USAK down even more, and make their way towards winning their second map pick. Neon first through this downhill third and into the identity. Paco as well overtaking Neil heading into these turns, and we'll have to see if Neil is able to make up some ground here. Looks to take it a bit easier, maybe a bit worried. Gets the inside line, but not as well as Paco. And another ace for VPxNeon. A repeat of what we saw on Brazil unfolding here. Again, double draws into double aces. And again, VPxNeon, all they need is that victory to bring home the win.
I think that's the first bit of kind of quicker pace we've seen on USA as well. A 0.6 coming out there from Neon. Just about 3.5 attempts off world record. So Neon also seeming to have the best pace here. Not quite as extreme as Brazil, but I don't think the consistency is on the side of USAK here, and considering the pace of the players they're playing against, they really need to be the more consistent team if they want to pick up points here. But 8-2 down, you're in need of a bit of a miracle at this point. I think you're in need of a throw from the other team, to be perfectly honest, because you basically have to get 1 or 2 aces in a row. And currently, that's not unfathomable.
Oh,
now it is.
Now it is. Okay, where's Neon going? What?
That was Trackmania, everyone. That was really showing the best of the best, driving their best. Well, either way, it has ended up with VPxNeon at the front. Petit Paco going to pick up a round win here, ahead of Neon. And there you have it. An even more dominant performance stats-wise than Brazil. It didn't really feel like it watching it, but that was 3 aces in a row after 2 draws. And yeah, VPxNeon run away with it, pick up their second map of the match.
Yeah, felt like there were errors happening on the side of VPxNeon, and Team USAK just unable to take advantage of those due to some inconsistency happening on their own side. Here we see that first ace coming in, bit of a push from Wizzy, but just unable to get his wheels on the floor soon enough to try and get in second place. But it's just a lot of these errors happening. And yeah, with that final round there, we see both Neil and Wizzy hitting the same cinder block. And with that, sealing the deal for map number 3. And now Team USAK has to look forward to their own map pick to try and still eke out a win from here. They have to win 2 in a row. Currently, VPxNeon is on match point. Greece is going to be that 4th track. China, the only one left after this, if Neil and Wizzy are able to lock down. And I hope for their sakes that it was more a matter of USA and what is it? I'm blanking. Brazil. Just not really, feeling too good about that one, and are looking forward to that staircase identity that Greece has in store for us. Though, it's a bit of a hard one to say. Their inconsistency has been very much messing with them, and I'm not sure if, even with that, they would have had the pace to beat VPxNeon there.
I mean, and Greece, particularly this identity, not exactly a track you want to go into with any form of inconsistency rattling around. It is such a punishing identity section. It is so precise. But equally, it's not like we haven't seen mistakes coming out from Neon and Petit Paco. So we'll have to see how they get on. Currently, it's been a very even start through this beginning phase of Greece. Neon leading the way by only a few hundredths of a second ahead of Neil. Wizzy behind, but still within touching distance. Currently forming up for... Neon with the first mistake. Wizzy falling a bit behind as well. So we've got a pair of 1v1s unfolding. Neil versus Petit Paco at the front, and Neon versus Wizzy behind. It's... I'm not sure how this is going to go. I think it's going to come down to the identity for both these 1v1s. Only about a tenth between them in both of them. It's a very odd formation we found ourselves in.
Yeah, Neil trailing behind a bit. At the same time, Wizzy and Neon, that is a very tight one throughout the identity. It's going to be a question of how far players dare to risk it through these turns. Everybody does stay alive, but Neon, the one to pick up the fight and win it against Wizzy, and we'll be able to bring home that victory from there. Just a bit more of that risk. Everybody does go through, does stay alive. A 113.6 from Paco to give us an idea, a bit of a benchmark of what we can expect in terms of pace from our players. But yeah, it's still Neil and Wizzy not able to fully get into it. In that previous round, Wizzy had to do a bit of a release through that first staircase sector, ending up going a bit too wide and recovering through that. Neon now, though, with a big crash and having to go for the respawn, does leave Paco to his own devices, but he is in a position where he can lead. A bit of a weak exit out of the ice will mean that Neil does get in front of him, along Wizzy now as well. Does manage to get the landing down correctly. That is what was causing Wizzy some issues, ending up in a 1v1 in the back. And now Wizzy and Neil, this is very much that situation, opportunity that they've had a couple of times throughout the match already. But finding themselves having an error somewhere along the line. And yeah, with Neil not getting the best of entries into that dirt sector, Paco is able to slide on in and making her way to that identity. It's going to be a question of survival. Paco just needs to put, maybe some pressure on Wizzy, maybe risking just a little bit more, actually gets ahead of Wizzy throughout these jumps, keeps it clean, and brings home the draw with that, just denying that A's by some solid driving. Honestly, it doesn't feel like Paco necessarily is risking too much. He's just a bit tighter. He's a bit faster throughout each and every one of these turns, and he's been able to crawl his way back up.
I'm not sure I'd quite say it was a little bit faster. There was a drift. There was a drift about 2/3 of the way through the track, which Petit Paco gained tenths on the other two. Just had an absolutely beautiful line through there, and that kind of got them close enough to challenge through the identity and then push the identity a little bit more. So really impressive performance there from Paco to kind of know that they needed to push to deny the ace, and actually managed to limit the damage all the way down to a draw after Neon's early mistake. Neon a little offline there again, is going to be low on speed for the time being. Petit Paco go really inside. Yeah, that was never going to happen. Not even close there for the Hungarian player. So Neon has found themselves back up into second, trying to deny a USAK ace. USAK again in a good position to try and claw some points back to try and get vaguely in control of their second map pick. And I think Wizzy might have the gap, but we've seen just how fast Neon can be through these identities. How much he's willing to push it. Are we going to see it again?
That. He goes and Wizzy's out.
Wizzy goes
Neon's
flying.
out.
Neon's out. Wizzy might be in a better position if they respawn first. What's going on behind? Petita Paco makes it up into second. Out of nowhere, Wizzy is going to clamber back to third. It's a missed ace opportunity for USAK, but it is at least a victory. Tying up the scoreline 4-4 now. And we look to be getting one of the closer maps so far. Every single map has been a bit of a walkover so far in varying directions. We haven't seen the losing team get more than 4 points so far, so maybe Greece will be our first kind of properly tight map, and USAK needed to go their way if they want to reach China and reach map 5.
Yeah, first off, into the ice. Neon, before we even enter the ice, hitting the wall and unable to stay up at the front with Paco. But with Wizzy having a bit of a weaker ice slide and Neil already having a later entry, it does mean that Paco is in a great position to get that defense going. He has been doing a phenomenal job of that throughout the match in general. Just, that consistency that he has been showing has been great. Pace-wise, Neon has been looking a bit faster, but a bit more of a glass cannon situation, it seems like, for him. So Paco, once again, setting up that defense, making sure that the wall is nice and high. Neo and Wizzy having to make that jump across, and right now with the gap 0.3 of a second and 0.6 of a second, it really comes down to that identity, which Paco has been doing phenomenally, getting into it. Goes a little bit wider on that second block. Finds Neil getting closer and closer. Does Neil have to pace the speed to overtake? No, he does not. Paco once again doing what he needs to do. Keeps him out, keeps him away, make sure that Team USAK doesn't get a lead in any way, shape, or form. But as it is 5-5, whoever wins it, as you say, right, we've crossed the 4 barrier.
Yeah, it is at least going to be the closest map no matter what happens now. I think Petita Paco, who has been somewhat in the shadow of Neon through Neon's insane pace over these rounds, really showing how good a player they are. It has been a great denial 2 rounds in a row, or I think 2 out of the last 3 rounds even, to try and stop USAK running away with this. This could easily have been a couple of aces for USAK if it wasn't for the pace that Petita Paco's been able to put down in the absence of Neon. But Neon making it through this early section of the track that has been causing him a lot of problems. And moving up into what looks like a fairly confident lead. Wizzy is out for the count this time. 7 attempts down, not going to come into play unless there is a mistake on the identity, I reckon. So, could this be the first time on this map we see a team really start to extend a big lead? It's looking good for VPxNeon. Can they both negotiate the identity? Neil is pushing, trying to get up to Paco. Doesn't manage it, though. And that is an ace. That's going to be 8-5, and it's not just map point, that is match point.
Yeah. I mean, VPxNeon here, practicing their ABCs, always be closing. I mean, it's been a couple of rounds where Wizzy was able to keep away VPxNeon from winning. The only map where they weren't able to take advantage of mistakes has been France, and that has been the track where Team USAK has been able to pick up their only victory, and that's been the main difference between the two. Again, that gap being grown just like that. 8 points for VPxNeon does mean that a victory is all it takes, and with the way Paco has been setting up that defense, I wouldn't be surprised if he is able to get another P1 out of it, and it will come down to what Neon is able to do, as this time around Neon doesn't show the same pace that he showed during the previous round, is still in the mix, keeping Neil and Wizzy away. And in a great position to close things out, especially with a full crash from Neil through the NASCAR sector. It is only Wizzy left standing, and the best Wizzy can get out of this is a draw if he's able to pick up both Neon and Paco, but both are doing a phenomenal job making their way through the dirt. We'll see how the notices go down here on to the penalty grass, and while Wizzy is able to get ahead of Neon, that is not quite enough to stay in the match. Paco keeps the lead in front as Wizzy tries to get by, but the second to last jump clips over. Neon able to slot into P2 fully, and it's going to be an ace to close things out. 5-11 for VPxNeon. an amazing amount of aces, honestly, from their side in this one. After France not looking as clean as you would like, they really started to get into their own, starting from Brazil, and they never stopped.
Yeah, I mean, I think Petit Paco was really the difference maker there for VPxNeon. Managed to deny a couple of critical rounds to take them away from USAK, which could have been victories or aces. That replay not exactly showing the best of Petit Paco there. But I mean, even this round after this replay, Petit Paco drove it home second. So
yeah.
And yeah, another important snipe here. So yeah, Paco kind of a difference maker here. But the pace set down by Neon on Brazil and USA was also frankly frightening. So yeah, I think if I was VPxNeon and gonna have a debrief after the match, I think it would be that they need to put significant time into France. Because they are, by the nature of the pair of players they have, going to be a team who make mistakes, who are going to be inconsistent at times. They just have a pair of incredibly quick but slightly crashy players. But it felt like they could get away with it on the other maps because they were so much faster that even if they made a small clip, they could at least catch back up. Whereas in France, it didn't seem the pace was quite as rapid, and it seemed like the mistakes were even more common. But that is their second win of the season. So,
fully deserved as well. Yeah, Team USAK just not showing off as well, right? That for them, it's very much that consistency is going to be the thing to fix, to clean up, and get across. I mean, if anything, VPxNeon showed us, I think, is just that tenacity that young players bring, right? Just that keep pushing, keep moving forward. And I mean, the fact that we got 2 PBs from Neon on Brazil, which were as close to world record as we have seen throughout the matches thus far, is absolutely gorgeous and a great sign of things to come. They've got that pocket map in there. The consistency on that was gorgeous as well. And I think anyone needs to look out for them when it comes to that. I think even with Genji X Weibo, who at the moment at the top, they've been looking dominant on these tracks. I think Brazil may also be one of those that may cause them to scratch behind their ears. Like, I don't know if we want to play that against them. Could we have a ban, maybe?
I mean, VP have played Genji X Weibo on Brazil. The scoreline was 10-1. You can guess which team won.
There you go.
So, yeah, I think VP, a team with potential to do very, very well here over the course of the entire season. We're quite unlucky looking at the stats to even lose that game they had against Genji Weibo. And they're going to have some interesting games coming up. In fact, there are going to be some more games coming up later in the day. We will be done for a bit now. We had one game kind of by itself a little earlier, but you can see the schedule, !schedule. But I think someone has just run it, so you can see it in the chat.
Yeah, right there. Look at it. Boom. Thanks, production. You can see it on our screen. 5 p.m. Onyx versus Halcyon. 6 p.m. Vavene versus Ragnarok. 7 p.m. Evolup GG versus Halcyon again. So a bit of a couple of Halcyon games. We've got Shift versus Ragnarok happening at 8, and then finally VPxNeon making a return to the stage at the end of the night versus AG Global. So that's a lot of Trackmania happening. Taking a bit of a break for now, right? This was simply the appetizer to a full day of Overdrive here on this gorgeous, a little bit cloudy here Saturday. But yeah, I think for now we'll take a bit of a step back, a bit of a breather, and we'll be back just a couple of minutes most likely before 5 p.m. Central European Summer Time, which is 2 hours before Cup of the Day time. Gotta keep that one in. -2 COTD.
That is the only useful time zone. I say this as a Brit who obviously is an hour out from everyone else in the community pretty much, who will operate on CST.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think look at those matches, there's going to be some good ones. I will say, if you have to pick a couple to show up to, VPxNeon, AG Global, that's going to be... so good.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait. All of those matches should be really, really good, bro. So...
True. Yeah, let's we'll see you guys in just a couple hours. I believe I will. Yeah, it will be me. Yeah, I actually will be there. Hello, and I believe I'll be joined by Turbo. So do look forward to that, guys. See you guys in just a couple of hours. In the meantime, enjoy your day, and we'll hope to see you guys back in that period of time. See you guys then.